Alright, this might be a terrible idea, but I'm going to try to give you a crew cut from Whistler Village. I actually was trying to give you an update from up near the gondola, but I guess it's kind of normal that Longhorn up there is just going off. Huge crazy beat. That's Garfinkel's right there, and apparently that's where a bunch of crazy partying happens, especially during Crankworks. But yeah, I'm on this side. I don't know what side of the village I'm on. I'm on the downhill side of the village where it's a little less chill, if you can imagine. This is more chill, than over there. It can be pretty crazy over there. But yeah, let me tell you about the week. It's been amazing. I've been doing things that I can't really imagine. I couldn't have imagined me doing. I had a buddy that led me into a bunch of stuff on the first day, Jonathan, just a guy I met on the shuttle. And then Van Can, aka Nick Zielinski, showed up on Monday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday just totally rode with me. I was so stoked on that. I didn't really know if he was coming up to ride with me. He just needed an excuse to come up, and he used me as an excuse to come up. Came up, rode with me the whole time, and pretty quickly got me into the double black diamonds. I think it really helped that he knows what I can ride. He's really competent, but he also knows how to show me the main line. He just will know the line. He'll show me the main line, and if he's going to do a side hit, he makes sure and lets me know. I also really appreciated how much information he would give me. He would give me just enough information. Basically, I know what you can ride. There's nothing on this trail that you can't handle. Or there's nothing on this trail that you can handle. There's this one feature, though, we'll have a look at. And we would stop and we'd look at it. And for the most part, I was able to do everything. There were a few side hits that I didn't do. But, this is my first time up here, so that's okay. That being said, the stuff on Dirt Merchant, I didn't look at those drops at all. I just followed Nick in. We stopped at the tables before you come around the turn into the drop, and I just had a lot of faith in him, a lot of trust, because he kind of gave me the speed, and he told me you don't really have to do anything off of it, and that's what happened. I have to say though, the second drop is a little tricky because the turn before it was all blown out. Hopefully next season, it won't be so blown up. It's kind of wild down here too. Not exactly wild, but loud. I hope the sound isn't terrible. But yeah, that was really good. And I can't believe I was hitting the double black diamonds. I just, like I said before, I really didn't expect that. Really surprised myself. But I don't know what it is. I don't know. Some of it is visual, I think, because, wow, it's kind of getting loud, huh? I'm going to kind of cruise over here, and maybe it'll be less loud. But, yeah, there were a lot of things, a lot of features that I don't know if I would have hit otherwise. Maybe it's just being in Whistler. Maybe it was having Nick there. Definitely the bike helped. But, yeah, some of the rollers, I can't believe I did Filthy Ape. If you don't know what that is, that's that massive, I don't even want to call it a rock roller. You're on top of a big granite mountain, and then you roll off of it and not die somehow. But yeah, that's what happened. But I went up and looked at it the first time, didn't do it. And I don't remember. I think it was the next day. It was the next day because I was still my freaking brain was getting all jangled up. But then what's crazy though is the next day when I went back with Nick again, it was early. And when I hooked up with them in the morning, Braden showed up. If you've watched any of Nick's videos, he's often in it. He doesn't really have content media or social media presence or anything like that. He's just just a dude that's amazing at riding, shows up in Nick's videos, but he showed up too, so suddenly everything was cranked up. I guess Nick felt like I had broken the seal and that I should be basically ready to go. So their warm-up was like blacks into double blacks, and so I had to really turn on as quick as I could, and so I did my best to turn on. And and then, point being, we got to, I'm gonna sit down here in front of Patagonia. Maybe I'll even go into Patagonia. But when we got to Filthy Ape, I still felt like my brain was getting turned on. But I decided, like, I know I can do it. It's just it's just like the mental aspect of it. So I went up there. I knew what the line was. I knew what I needed to do, and so everything was there. Everything was checked off in terms of knowing what I needed to do, being where I needed to be, and then all I had to do was do it. And that really just meant standing up on the pedals and rolling into it, checking brakes, of course. But I just had a really hard time doing it, because I knew, like, I didn't have to do anything but not mess up, and that just scares me, because I feel like there's times when, like, I tell myself not to mess up, but I still mess up anyways. But I was just listening to an interview on, I think it's called it's Just Ride, with Elliot Jackson and Rob Warner, and they were talking to, oh my god, y'all, I feel really bad, slopestyle rider. Hopefully it'll come to me later. But one thing he was talking about was he would kind of have like this checklist that he would go through, and it was essentially, am I healthy? Do I have the right intentions? Have I prepared? And there was another one that I can't remember what it was, but those three were like the main things. And I knew all those things. And so this was the very first time where I knew all those things, but I had such a mental block and so much fear that I couldn't, like, break through before moving. Usually, like, I can break through the fear and break through the freeze and open everything up, and then I feel good to go. And in this case, I had all the information, all the knowledge, but I couldn't break through. And the thing that got me to break through was to actually move and get into position, to, like, get up on the bike and start rolling. And as soon as that happened, that's when I was able to break through. And once I was actually in it, once I was to the point of no return where you can't stop, otherwise you die, basically, I felt good and in control, and everything was good. I just stopped being scared at that point. Now, I don't know if I could do that on like a drop or a giant jump or something like that, where which might be a little bit different. In this case, it didn't help, mind you, that there were like people that were like recognizing me, because the way that is you've had this huge thing and there's just nothing in front of you, and people can just stand there and watch you not die, try not to die. And I was up there for a little while just trying to break through that mental block, and there were people gathering, and at a certain point somebody was like, hey, I could hear them down there, hey, isn't that MTB Allen? And somebody else was like, yeah, I think that's MTB Allen. And then some kid over here was like, hey, aren't you MTB Allen? And then another guy earlier was like, hey, you're MTB Allen. And actually that was one of the people who filmed for me, which I was really grateful for. So that was, I had to put all that out of my mind too. But yeah, that was a trip. I didn't really plan on doing that. I didn't really plan on doing it, and then I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to be successful at doing it. But yeah, it's been quite a week. I feel like a bit of a different rider. What's interesting though is I still, even though I will do these things, right? Like I went off massive drops. I did massive rollers and really technical stuff on some of the double black diamond stuff. And still, yesterday, me and a guy, Brian, who I met, we were doing Top of the World. Went up to do Top of the World, and he happened to be there. And I said, hey, he seemed like a pretty good guy. And I was just like, hey, do you want to buddy up for Top of the World? And he was like, yeah, cool. But we ended up riding the whole day together. But at a certain point, we were coming down Duffman, and there was a side hit. And it was a side hit that it looked actually just... It looks like it was well established, but I hadn't done it. He hadn't done it, and I was gonna skip it, even though I had just done Filthy Ape. This like little roller was still freaking me out because it was like out of context. So Brian though felt confident and he did it, and then as soon as he did it, then that like opened the door for me. I think eventually I'll get to a point where I'll be able to see it, to see the line. I think that's kind of part of the problem now, is my fear and lack of confidence will make it hard for me to see the line. Or I'll see the line and then I just am not confident that that's actually going to be a survivable line. It's amazing what our bikes can do these days. It's amazing like how quickly you can come to a stop. Like you can just like go into a freaking almost free fall and then get a little bit of dirt and be able to stop. It's just insane. But yeah, I only had one crash, and it was on the first day, and it was on the tech part of A-Line. I don't know if you know A-Line, but if you've ever watched a video on A-Line, you'll see just big flowing turns and jumps and whatever, and then out of nowhere there's just this like really narrow in the trees tech section, and it was in there. And I made the same mistake that apparently a lot of people make, which is that at this one point you have all these kind of like baby heads, like almost like cobblestone up on the left, and it looks like there's a line on the right, and maybe some people can do the line on the right. I don't know if I've actually seen video of people doing that, but I tried to do it, lost my front wheel and went down, but mostly just tweaked my wrist and scratched my hand, and that was it. That's the only crash I had this entire week, so that's pretty rad. And then today I basically took the day off and just chilled. I like relaxed in the hotel room for quite a while. Finally got up and got out to breakfast around 8, and then was just trying to decide what to do. I know there's a lake nearby, Alta Lake, and I was trying to figure out how to get over there. So just got on the laptop for a little bit and figured out a bus, found out where I could rent a little cruiser bike, and bing bang boom, I was over there. And then of course there's a lot of construction going on right now here in Whistler. I don't know how long that's been going on or how long it's gonna go on, but there were some detours. I got all lost, but it kind of worked out because I ended up kind of on the other side of the lake and just saw this little dirt road, and I was like, ooh, what's that? Snuck down into there, and don't tell anybody, but I found this little dock down there that nobody was there. Actually, there was like 2 people there. Everybody was over on the other side of the lake, and I was in jeans and a t-shirt, not prepared to go swimming, but you know, when am I going to be out here again? And it was this beautiful lake, a quiet dock, beautiful mountains in the distance, so I stripped down to my underwear and jumped in and had a nice swim. It was awesome. And the only thing that was a little bit complicated was once I was in the water, and this like family like canoes up, like jumps, like gets out of the canoe, and like a dad and his like little kid who's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old, they're like fishing, and I'm like, great, so how am I gonna like get my wet underwear off and my pants on? So fortunately I had like a long sleeve shirt that I like was able to tie around me and at least cover my front, and by now a woman had come around and had gone swimming, and now she was on the dock, so the family was on one side and the lady was on the other side, so I decided to give her the bare ass and give them the covered side and got my pants on and just went commando. and then hung my underwear on the bike on the ride back. And then, I just cruised around for a little bit longer, just feeling all nice and refreshed, wet hair, blowing in the breeze. Got back on the bus, got back here, and I've just been like just cruising around ever since, just enjoying myself. I bought an A-Line t-shirt. I went and had some poutine at the Garibaldi Lift Company, the GLC, which is the restaurant that's that's on top of the gondola, basically. The gondola over here. So yeah, that's what I did, and then I had poutine in my stomach and had to go back to the hotel room and like lay there and like recover from having eaten all that poutine. It wasn't even that much. I don't know how people do a whole freaking bowl of that stuff. Man, that stuff is strong. But and now I'm just cruising around. I don't even know if I'm gonna eat dinner because I've got so much in me. I might go and get a little snack at the grocery store. By the way, if you're here in Whistler Village, there's a freaking grocery store right there. It's a little more expensive, but it's got everything you need. I needed like a Band-Aid. I need Band-Aids at some point. I needed like ice cream sandwiches. I needed ice cream sandwiches, cases of soda to put in the refrigerator. Yeah. There's everything you need here, which is kind of tripping me out. It's gonna make it so that the next time I come, I might not bring as much stuff. So that's me. That's the CrewCut for the week, coming to you from, well, kind of Whistler Village. We're like at the bottom of Whistler Village, in the parking lot now, at the bottom of Whistler Village. So there's a parking lot, in case you wondered. Sorry I couldn't do it from up there, but it was just freaking going off up there, and there's no way you would have been able to hear me. But all right, until next week.